We're getting ready for a pivotal matchup here. SUNY Erie going up against Post University and a playoff spot. Two teams have been playing for, well, 8 weeks now, or 8 rounds of round robin play, and both have ended up. But that 4-win marker is what we're looking at, because that gets you inside that playoff bubble. Half of the teams make the play. You get to that 4-win marker, you are tied for, you are tied for that last seed in. And so this really is as game. So should be interesting to see. These are two teams that have kind of, well, flipped scripts when you look at their
SUNY Erie, of course, they're on a 3-match losing streak coming into this one, but one of those who's second in the division, whereas the Eagles on a 2-win streak against Thomas and Mansfield, but both 6 respectively. So on paper, these are pretty evenly matched, which I would say is to their benefit, right? No team's really coming into and considering they're both at 3 and 4, either of these teams can make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, very much. Moments away from getting underway. Teams are still going through stage strikes as we speak together. For this league is that this is a best of 3 traditional crew battle style. So even if you lose the first battle, to possibly make it back up, and a third one if need be. And the way these two teams have played, it wouldn't surprise me, but we'll all have to see. Well, we are getting ready for this. Like you said, the Post University, we've gotten the same 3 types of players week in and week out, and they've been fairly consistent. Like you said, they've heated up the past few weeks, and they looked very good against Thomas Esports just a week ago.
Yeah, and in a game like Ultimate, especially online, it's hard. Certainly looks good coming into this for them, that they have 3 wins in a row under their belt, are coming into this. So, I would say they would certainly have a good mental going into this 2 weeks ago, where they are, another team that's now 3 and 4 at the moment. So skill-wise, they're able to take on teams that are huge division like this. Being 2 and 6 at the very least means that you might have had a strong competition. So, certainly the Eagles have a solid roster of a pretty diverse cast of characters, likely going to be playing the Ike, Inkling, and Bowser. That SUNY Erie is just not ready to deal with, right? They're not, and Inkling is not a very common character these days. Ike and Bowser. So coming into this one, I mean, Eagles might have the slight edge coming into this, and of course, looking to change up things here, coming off of 3 straight losses.
Looking to try and reverse that script here. You're seeing Inkling for the side of Post University going to be the first player. On the flip side of that, you're seeing K. Rule here. Very different style of matchup. I mean, this is a classic, combo character versus a heavy, but King K. Rule can certainly off to a very early percent lead.
Absolutely. The thing about Inkling is a lot of their ground game is so linear and frames to immediately win a lot of those. Oh, you can't be hit by the cannonball though. But yeah, King K. Rule is a really approaches to really weave in and out of those armor defensive strats that King K. Rule is going to use again.
Polar Chan right now has the lead, and Random Eevee thrown off stage for just a moment, but cleanly still. Every stock matters in a traditional crew battle like as long as you have one stock in the hill style. Oh my goodness, but he dipped a little bit too far off stage, and the back air lands.
Great read. They could definitely tell too much to the roller. Knew exactly where it was going to land at the end, and that back air was perfectly.
Chan trying to find a read there on the landing, but won't be able to get much forward air. Doesn't connect. Opening here for Random Eevee. Gets the forward air around, finds a second one, but this is where things get dangerous. These heavy characters can really take the Inkling to really find that one strong hitbox to find a way to take stock off the board, but also look at all the rage that's now built up. For the side of Random Eevee, if they have a way to take the stock, it's going to get very dangerous very quickly.
Yep. One more hit and then a back throw might be looking for it. This crown is devastating Random Eevee's approaches, which making it difficult and forcing Random Eevee to spend jumps. And when you start jumping, you're gonna get hit there, and that's exactly what happened with the 3-0 on Pokemon Stadium.
3-0 to start the day, and that's exactly what Erie was looking for there. They are now, well, up strong showing off the bat. I mean, Erie, on the other hand, Polarchan looked fantastic. It felt like everything was connecting. Everything was finding its mark.
Yeah, that is so major to start off a crew battle. Have stocks and get a 3 stock against that Inkling there. And King K. Rool is a scary character online, right? It's hard to whiff punish in this game. King K. Rool can throw out that crown, make it hard for you to try to commit to a dash, which we saw a lot in that game. Random Eevee just getting caught again and again on those heads up, and then you have the added combination of Inkling being a lighter character. All of those things add together where you end up having a King deal with Polarchan with an extremely awesome start here for their squad. And yeah, a 3 stock, nothing to scoff at.
Get that chance for the side of Post to try and counter pick. Now that you have one of your players off the board, you got 2 people remaining. What the strategy is going forward, knowing that, hey, we are dealing with this King K. Rool. They are locked into that character until they've dropped stocks. So between, from what we've seen, which has consistently been, the Inkling, the Ike, the Bowser board. Ike or Bowser, is there one way you're leaning towards here, or maybe you want to keep one in your pocket?
Keeping any character in your pocket is an option, right? Like you're already down by 3 entire stocks, so you want to get back into this as soon as you can. I think Bowser might be the deal with King K. Rool just by throwing out forward air a lot of the time, and will be the heavier choice of those characters in terms of staying alive. Could certainly do it. Ike has that little bit of extra range and has some of that burst potential that you might want to use against King K. Rool, but Bowser, an easier character I think to approach with in that match. Might be able to deal with the crown a little easier, and you can commit to jumping in neutral because the up B on the ground to get yourself out of really sticky close quarters situations. So I would go with the Bowser personally, but we'll see. I can, do a 3 stock of their own.
Entirely possible. It is at these schools, when you're at this level, it feels like it's a lot of comfort being a huge factor. Mindset going in, and while down 3 stocks is not a great place to be, it can easily swing. We've seen time. All you need is one hit to be able to take stock. Now, these aren't necessarily the characters for that type of play style, but all you need is one good read. So we're waiting to see who will hop in here momentarily. On the flip side of that, you're looking at this King K. Rool playing very well, but also playing very well to the advantages of King K. Rool, right? Heavies tend to last. Rage, the amount of damage they can output in just a few hits. We didn't see a whole lot of, clean combos outside of the fact that is the case, I think really played to Polarchan's advantage.
Absolutely. Right? Grabs, you're looking for the roller as these starters are trying to catch an aerial, but King K. Rool was nullifying a lot of that. I mean, you saw company approaches, and you have the arm like Nair, for example, to get yourself out of any kind of sticky situation. If you've case the Inkling wasn't getting those combo stars that you need and wasn't getting the residual damage you need to kind of win that war. every projectile, landing every grab. The aerials were coming through. I mean, that back air at the edge of the stage right there, that's a mental boomer right there. A lot of things. So is a huge start. This King K. Rool only needs to get one stock here for their team, and we're going to Kalos next stage here. So you're gonna have a lot of room to work with as well to continue to spam that crown, etc. So you'll have some opportunities to, extend this lead, not just hold on to it.
And I also like the Cal rule. If you think about the ways that King K. Rool likes to take stocks, not typically off the top of the stage either. It's typically with spikes off the side, off the ceiling. So I think the stage also kind of plays to their advantage. But the Bowser is the selection here for round number 2. It's I believe this is Denny. Actually, sorry, this is Z or Z Money being locked here for round 2. But early deficit is already a quick 70. Make that 90 onto this first.
Yeah. Okay, so this is exactly what we saw in this game too, is that you see Polarchan is trying to force their opponent into the air as much as possible and force landing situations. Those landings, and so far 129%, and then you have the cannonball. Oh, you think you can forward air through it, you can, but you're still gonna get done. And then of course kill comes right after. It's that back air. It's devastating. Now we have pretty much a full stock advantage here. Honestly, at this point, might not even need their teammates. Might just take out this entire team on their own.
The way they're playing, a lot of momentum, playing around the space very well, utilizing the projectiles that King K. Rool has to offer very well, and that spike in the Bowser recovery, not enough to get back to the stage, and all of a sudden, it's 3-1.
Yeah, that's Deja getting spiked by the back air, and this is looking hard for Z Money because they want to avoid the crown, they want to avoid the cannonball, so they're committing to jumps. They're constantly double jumping. They're using down air and committing to that, which is, I mean, by all means, whiffing is doing this game, but against like a move like Bowser down air, you're almost going to hit it every single time. So you really can't be committing to those moves. But yeah, Z Money has a huge mountain to climb here, and another up air kill, and another 3 stock again for Polarchan. Stocks to 0 up against this post-university squad, and I think this might come true here. I think they might actually take this without any help from the rest of the squad.
Have not dropped a stock again. Looked fantastic there, and that was a quick game. It was that first stock barely started, and it was a quick 90% had been 2, I think, and it was off of a trade. So Polarchan playing absolutely fantastic. It feels like he's got a game.
Absolutely. Knows exactly what their opponent's going to do because he's conditioning his opponents to jump, and it's working out perfectly. King K. Rool is such a finicky character to work with because you feel like you're safe and shield at times, but you can get easily command grab. But you have the crown, and once you're inside, you think you can do damage, and you get armored. Has really scary aerials as well. I mean, we've seen with some other players, even at a higher level, that can do a lot of work. Like Kirby Kid, for example, is easy work, especially if you're not experienced in the matchup. So when you have a player who's able to condition their opponents so efficiently, essentially like fighting a boss, which makes sense considering who King K. Rool is. But you're in that boss encounter, and you got to figure out the pattern. But
And the scary is, once again, you can see the damage that Post can do once they get. Polarchan is not hits at all. It's that the hits are coming in strings, and they're not also the strong. Take a stock. Polarchan doing a job of playing around these high percentages, the ones that heavies are kind of known for playing at, because taking a lot of damage early, but playing around those high percents, being able to hold on to your stock. There's something to be said about being able to.
Yeah, this is, this is more than a mountain to climb here for Post now. This is an incredible, SUNY Erie's match to lose right now. Most likely, considering this is the best of 3, they're going to throw Polar Chan out. I mean, why wouldn't you? But this is a situation where, okay, now you just have the Ike to work with. Not particularly to really wins hard. And, you know, Ike doesn't have, like, Flamethrower, for example, which we didn't see from the Bowser at all, which would have been a great. You don't have a projectile to work with. You have another linear approach character that King K. Rool can easily hit with the crown or the cannonball. Slower character, too, so King K. Rool's going to be going for grabs. Going to be looking to try it to, again, get you in the air. Ike, historically, is a character in situations, and who's been doing really good in every landing situation? It's Polar Chan on the King K. Rool. So, I'm sure Post is trying to take as much time as they can to figure things out for the next game, see what adjustments crew matchup in this best of 3. Like, all right, this is probably a wash, but what can we change going into the second game?
You know, try and see what you can get out of it. Curious to see if that Ike is actually the choice, as you're seeing on your screen. Yes, it is. Like you said, Polar Chan, this sort of plays to his advantage, but also, you know, in terms of the character matchups themselves, I almost feel two can beat up on each other very easily. Just whoever, you know, finds that initial mistake can really punish accordingly. Things relatively even off the start here, as it is Denny on the Ike here for Post University, but he's off stage now. This for a moment, but like you said, those grabs coming through, and he reads the roll in as well. Polar Chan, just the stars aligning thing right now.
Yeah, Denny is the team captain of Post, and honestly, this is already looking a lot better. You can tell that a little safer on moves. With, again, the problem with Ike, even though you have the platforms to land on, is that side B is going to get punished over almost every. Oh, that grab, though, should have landed, but barely getting their way out of there is Denny. They've definitely kept their anchor, their strongest player so far, and Denny is doing a great job of keeping this even against the King K. Rool.
Trying to space around these projectiles now. Every stock does matter, but we'll be able to get around the crown, but to get the side B back to stage, and the spacing on that back air so well done to knock Polar Chan off stage. Can't really contest him from down air. Will connect, the up air won't do so, and both these players playing carefully, but I love the dash attack to sneak underneath and take back.
Hits him with the receipt almost immediately, but great job by Denny. I mean, these very well-spaced aerials on Shield or Polar Chan to punish with King K. Rool's normals. So this is doing a really, Denny's playing a really good, the best look they have. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually have Denny start next game to try to get a quicker advantage here, because earlier they're dealing with this King K. Rool the best so far.
Good back air combo right there. Forward smash not going to land, but doesn't get much out of it. But pressure in this corner still very well done. Can't connect the nair. The dash attack actually beats up. Nearly gets reversed on him, but Polar Chan will be able to make it back. He'll armor back to stage and try and flip the situation on its head. But we've seen now from the side of Denny, and he gets punished for it there. The crown into the up air, the classic King K. Rool combo separates them from round 1.
Yeah, Denny definitely was tunnel visioning a little bit there, trying to side B onto that platform, and did it just too many. So now this is a little bit of extra credit opportunity here for Polar Chan to get some more. And even though they're not going to die anytime soon, damage, and he already had 84% off that counter now, and that side B almost getting punished. That could have been potential death there. And he's starting to slip just a little bit.
Careful here, but he does find the back air to put Polar Chan on his last stop. 101-0 in terms of that percentage, and it is up to Denny to make a play here along this ledge. All of these projectiles. Good side B back to ledge, and he'll escape to that platform for the moment. Early up B. This is going to be a grab, down throw. No. Quite yet, but the side B in again nearly gets punished by the back air, and the full extension of the forward air will seal it away. stocks and takes set 1 for Erie.
Wow. One of the best cruise performances I've ever seen, really. Props to Polar Chan for an absolute exquisite run right there. You have to imagine now that Post is getting a little bit. If I were up, if I were running that team, you put Denny in first, right? Denny had the best chance. We have no idea what's waiting in the wings for SUNY. Polar Chan might even be their best player. They're just their lead. So who knows who's waiting in. Had that better hold of spacing against King K. Rool, had some way better punishes than we've seen from the rest of the team. So I would have to imagine that they start with the same matchup. It honestly could have gone either way at the end there, but you could tell that when Denny had an option, it wasn't working. It worked. And unfortunately, when you self-condition yourself there, you're going to get hit for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you could on Polar Chan was getting more and more wide. The fact that he was recovering high a lot of the time, those side Bs back to the platform, wherever it may be, and taking, I believe, the second to last stock with it. So it was still a very lot closer. But as you said, Polar Chan in control, and we still don't know, half of the 2/3 of, or that select past Polar. So in a matchup that, as we said, potential line here, why not stick to what works here if you're the side of Erie and run Polar Chan again, see how far he can get in a set. There's also that kind of question strategy of, do you send in the best player first and trust the depth line, or do you what Post did and say hold your best player for last to see and give them that opportunity to try and scout to give you that full advantage. Curious to see what the mindsets are going into the second set.
Different ways you can approach it. Throughout the years, I've seen many a good crew team lead best players to the end, and be in a situation stocks they have to make up is just too great for any player, right? Like, you might be as good as you possibly could be, but if you have to make up 6 or 7 doing that, regardless of how much you scout. So I'm always of the part, put your best foot forward first, right? Like, get your best player out there, unless you're saving them for a particular matchup with larger crew teams. You want to kind of have your best player out there to give you that larger margin of error to work with later. Like, imagine Polar Denny in that initial get-go, you'd still have 6 other stocks to work with, and Denny had lost 2. So, like, it didn't matter if you had still be able to take 1 or 2 stocks on their own unless they're really getting battered. So, personally, I think they'd start with it first. I see, though, random. So they might be going back to that original lineup.
Looks like it is. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it is going. So round number 1 was, as we've mentioned, Polar Chan's, it was his genesis, kicking it up a whole notch in that first match against Random Eevee. But what are you looking for here? Number 2, what are you looking for Eevee to change in their game plan?
I would say just camp more, right? Like, wasn't working, especially on Pokemon Stadium 2, which against a character like King K. Rool, who was was obviously pretty wide, close range around them. Like, you don't have a lot of room to work with. So if you're continually forcing the issue and getting hit, I things down. Try to really think about every single movement and button you press. And against a character like King K. Rool, who isn't very mobile, like, stick to throwing out those bombs. Try to paint him up as best you can. Don't force the thing about Random Eevee too is that we're seeing the roller at super low percents where even if you land it, you're not getting a kill off it. Save that for later when you know that landing that roller is going to result in a kill confirm. With Inkling, you can, especially with the character, just camp it out, get the seats down, pull out the marshmallows, get the fire going, start camping.
The game plan here going forward, I do agree. It felt like, especially on a character like Inkling, and there are excuse me, that can be that type of, in your face pressure all the time until one of your combo starters just lands, and then you can much damage you can get. It's so easy to kind of tunnel vision when you have one of those characters. And I feel like that's the trap can fall into and random EV have fallen into in game number 1. They just want to hit your opponent. You just want to get that combo up. But you have players like Polar Chen who are very defensive and are smart about it. They are wise to your plan. I'm going to use the roller in. I've got to snuff it out. I've got 2 actually that can end up, blocking that. Battlefield, the site of game number 1. I do like this again for combos, but that is the big question I think moving forward is can combo starters that they weren't able to find as much in that very first set. But as we get ready, here is set number 2 on Battlefield.
Yeah, Battlefield certainly an opportunity for Inkling to get combos going, but I think this is actually a great opportunity for Inkling to run King K. Rool up air. You can run away hard, but it looks like the strategy has not changed for random EV. Still running in hard. We saw that again, just like slow down, take a breath. You don't have to be engaging, going and looking for grabs every time, because even there where it's coming right back at you. It's going to hit you from behind and pinch you between itself and King K. Rool. So that's the strategy. Platforms, run around, throw out the ink box, do residual damage, and avoid the up air. Fortunately, that was not the case in that first stock, as random EV taken 36%, now 45. I'm going to this next one.
Have to see what random EV can do, but not going to get too much of it. All of the projectiles landing, and once again, Polar Chen with another big lead here, lapping 99 right now on random EV. They'll up B back to the ledge, carefully gets around the win box, actually kind of helps them, but smash, and Polar Chen on a tear. That's 10 stocks, I believe. Actually, sorry, 11 stocks right now.
Which is absolutely crazy that this play, there's a really good chance we don't see the rest of this team. Erie. That's a huge flex. I would love to see the rest of the team here, but so far, Polar Chen doesn't even seem to need to. It's just training mode now. Like, they're just hitting buttons and seeing what happens, and it's working out so far. They really don't have to worry about spacing things too. A lot of the time hitting their shield very often, and unfortunately, recovers way too low, can't up B back, and that is enough from Polar Chen.
Second verse looking the same as the first here, and Polar Chen another 3 stocks, continuing their reign of terror here on Post University. But I think we saw at least that game, it look a little bit closer. Like you said, started to camp a little bit more towards the latter parts of that game, finding a way in through all of the timings of the projectiles and even the spacing around the armor, things like that. Just
yeah, and with the added platforms being so close to each other too, sometimes it's even harder to land those jump-ins as well. So, like, consideration, you really can only jump in when King K. Rool's in the center of the stage, and of course, set you up for the up air, which we saw kill. It's hard to deal with. I would say it wasn't necessarily a bad stage pick coming out of Pokemon Stadium, but just the game plan wasn't there. It was exactly, which was be super aggro and attack almost immediately, and that's exactly what Polar Chen wanted the entire.
And maybe part of that reason that you kind of, as I mentioned before, kind of tunnel vision on a type of style is because they know the pressure of, they know a loss here could be the end of their regular season. This is a tough game, or at least done for either of these schools. Win and you're in, lose and you are out of that playoff race. So that's got to be the minds of these players, and we're seeing Polar Chen once again, take that starting role here for Erie.
If I were Erie, there's no way Polar Chen off of this, but I'm really surprised that Post did not change their lineup in the beginning. Absolutely meant that they lost that first game. of the second set. Like, it could have gone either way last time. I think we're going to where Denny might be able to stack, but it's going to be too little too late. Even if Denny takes out Polar Chan, there's a good chance they lose one or two of their. They still have to beat two other players. Ask for their anchor to do that. If Denny had come in a little bit sooner, they would have at least in terms of getting a solid stock advantage, but also getting SUNY Erie's lineup even looks like in the first place. So far, Polar Chan is just looking. All of their confirms are landing. You can tell this a lot, and everything they need to be doing. King K. Rool has been practiced, has been trained, has been prepared. Not only that, now they know exactly what to expect of Post as well, right? Like, they have that download. They know what Denny and they know what Z Money is going to bring to the table. So it's really on Post to be like, okay, how do we change things up with the same players that we've already and going back to PS2?
To see here is it looks like you are seeing Z in the lineup here for the second match, and so curious too because between both sets, really, there's also the great players can adapt seemingly flipping a switch mid-match. There wasn't a whole lot of time to, and there isn't in this format for your team group. You have to be able to be ready on the day. And right now, Polar Chan, his game plan looks on point and ready to adapt whatever is being thrown at him. That is the question here for Post, is can they change the game plan that they've come in with? Because right now, our backs are against the wall here as we get ready for game number 2. Not the end of the line quite yet, but Z can get anything done here. And that stock count looking dangerous as Zach pushed to the corner here early in game 1.
Yeah, I would see that flamethrower come out from Z Money again. Safer, right? You can't really camp too hard with Bowser, but you can play that slower neutral. Have to commit grounded options. We're seeing a lot of high recoveries as we did from the previous set from Z Money, and now in this that high up B recovery. I mean, channels every single time. So finally does get that side B landing, and we'll see what they get in the situation. But Polar Chan plays it perfectly and forces that offstage play. I mean, every time that Z Money gets knocked off stage, they're taking 30, 40, 50%.
102 right now on Z Money. Good forward air. Dash attack won't be able to take the stock quite yet. Up air. Not going to do it. Polar Chan to threaten, and will be ill-advised. He snuck behind him with the down smash, and Polar Chan pulled here. But at 124, Bowser's got a lot of kill power in their kit. Can they find one of those strong hitboxes on the board right now? So Polar Chan, everything connecting. Neutral B got around it. Up smash nearly found its mark.
Somehow that up B working out here. But yeah, this is a crucial moment for Z Money. Rolling a bit too much when you get just one stock on Polar Chan and give Denny a slight advantage going to the next game. That could literally make the difference whether you take the stock. The flamethrower didn't work out the first time, finally works out the second time. That might be exactly what the helicopter. That's exactly what they need, the propeller kill off the top. But yeah, Z Money does finally take a stock off Polar Chan. Who isn't Denny? And now Denny will be able to go into this with a 3-2 stock lead. That could be enough, especially if Polar Chan is their strongest player from SUNY Erie. I mean, that could, who knows? Denny might be able to do the run back. So that's needed to stay alive here. At least one stock.
Got one stock off the board, and I have to flash back to that first game of this second. The same percentage, 124-ish, 125, and Eve just could not find a solid hit to be able to take. Now you have that advantage. Now you have that extra stock to work with here if you are Denny. And we remember that it was very close in that very first game. It did come down to the last stock. Denny was at about 100% if I remember to that last stock scenario, but we'll have to see what Denny can do here. Polar dropping his first stock to someone still in firm control though here for Erie.
Yeah, this is an improvement for Post for sure. Absolutely in full control. I honestly, I think Denny can do it as long as Denny doesn't tunnel vision, trying to force options that are too crazy with trying to land side Bs. This could absolutely go Denny's way. So that certainly has to be in the back of Polar. Hey, this is now something I really have to, keep my spacing on lock. I have a player who's able to punish me a lot stronger, who's able to shield a lot more polished. So we'll see how this works out as we head to Town and City for an option here. Obviously, Pokemon Stadium 2, the last time these two players faced off.
Town and City, the site here will stay alive here with Denny or Polar Chan. Well, we'll see if it's his day today as we get way here. 3 stocks to 2 as you see that SD on the board. And now we are ready to go. Polar Chan versus Denny time here. And like you said, the platform's going to be very impactful. And you're seeing already Erie or Polar Chan.
No way!
Aware of the high recovery. It gets the perfect punish off the back of it. And Denny drops his first stock.
Wow. Polar Chan's like, well, let's just even the odds real quick. And making it as if that work had not been done the previous game. Nullified, and then just ripping through on this next stock. I mean, this is crazy right now. Denny just getting absolutely molly on without taking a ton of damage. And Polar Chan racking up 100%, looking for the edge cheese there. But all Polar Chan all day. A little bit of advantage that Post had is more than gone.
More than gone stock, and now it is all on last stock here, 25% to Polar Chan, and he's just going to play around this edge. There's no Polar Chan to approach. He's saying, come to me, let me play my defense game that has worked all day. And now Denny in once again. Nares won't connect. Side B will break through, but only for a moment. That counter, very dangerous here, but here's the
stock.
The side B will be able to get him back to stage time. Early up B, just barely saving. Isn't of that first stock indeed. He's at 56, make it 75. Side B sneaks underneath, just barely able to make it.
This is so scary because if you're not going to get cheesed by those combos with the on the side, you might get sucked up by the blunderbuss and shot off stage. Like Ike up a river without a paddle here, you get sent too far flying, and this is just looking devastating. Polar Chan smartly going to recover super low, but one grab be it until that race finally goes down. So now Polar Chan has to back up a little bit more, but Denny putting themselves at disadvantage for almost no reason, and Polar Chan will take every single day.
Back air trades 130 for the day, but won't be able to find it. Not going to be able to follow up. The forward air is enough to do it, and Polar of set number 2 and gets the win for the Erie Wildcats.
SUNY Erie represented, as far as we're concerned, by a Polar Chan was the lead anchor and the MVP here for SUNY Erie. Just an absolute crazy. And seriously, the very few times, if ever, do you see a single player take out an entire crew by themselves. But folks, you just saw it here tonight.
A solid showing from. And he gets back-to-back set victories, takes all 12 stocks. I believe he 3 all day, 1 in the very actually 2, sorry, in the very first set, and then once in the here against Denny. But is going to be the game here for Erie. They get the win this. We will see, I think, chance to get an interview with one of the players after this, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back with more esports. Very early percentage.
Thing about Inkling is a lot of here, and PK Wilson uses armor frame to immediately win a lot of those. You can't be getting hit by a
but they'll be able to make it back pretty cleanly still. Every stock matters in a traditional crew battle. long as you have one stock in the game, you stay alive, almost King of the Hill style. Oh my goodness!
Get hit by the up air and push their opponent into the possible and forced landing situations, and then punish those landings. And so far, 9%, and then have the camera. While you think you can forward air through it, you can, but you're still going to get sucked up by. Might just take out this entire team on their own.
The way they're playing certainly feels like it. Playing with a lot of momentum, playing around. Utilizing the projectiles that King K. Rool has to offer very well, and that's is just
in this game, but against like a move like Bowser down there, so you really can't be committing to those. Oh, that should have been a kill right there, but yeah, Z-Money has a huge mountain to climb. Up air kill and another
back air so well done to knock Polar Chan off stage. Can't really contest him from down low all that easily. The up air won't do so, and both these players playing carefully, but I love the dash attack to sneak underneath and take Rool. Nearly gets reversed on him, but Polar Chan will be able to make it back. He'll armor back to stage and try and flip the situation on its head, but we've seen a lot of these now from the side of Denny, and he gets punished for it there. Good side beat to ledge, and he'll escape to that platform for the grab, down throw. No, it'll be the up instead. Won't take the stock quite yet, but the side beat in again nearly gets punished by the forward air.
Where you commit to a grab, the crowd's coming right back at you. It's going to hit you from behind and pinch you between itself and the strategy a lot of speed. Pause those up, run around, throw out the income, do residual damage, and avoid the up air.
Once again, Polar Chan with another mapping percent as well. Back air lands 99 right now on random Eevee. So up B back to the ledge, carefully gets around the win. Dash into the down smash.
It seems to need too much playing like this is just training mode right now. Like they're just hitting, working out so far. They really don't have to worry about spacing things too hard because random Eevee is very close a lot of the time, hitting their shield very often. And no,
game one.
Yeah, I would really like to see that flamethrower come out from Z-Money again. Be a little safer, right? You can't really and play that slower neutral game where you don't have to commit grounded option. Knock off stage, they're taking 30, 40.
102 right now on Z-Money. Good for attack, won't be able to take the stock quite yet. Up there, not going to do it. Polar Chan through the threat.
But yeah, this is a crucial moment for rolling a bit too much when you had the size of the opportunity, but if they get stock on Polar Chan, Denny, slight advantage going to the next game, literally makes the difference whether or not we go to that could literally make the difference whether or not we go to a set. They do take the stock. The flamethrower worked out the first time, finally works out the second. That might be needs to hold off the top. What the hell?
Now we are ready to go. Polar Chan versus Denny for one time here, and like you said, the platform's going to be very impactful, and you're seeing already Erie, or excuse me,
no way. Polar Chan racking up 100+%, looking for cheese there, but this is now again all day. That little bit of the that Priest had is more than gone. Up by the blunderbuss and shot off stage. Like Ike is up a river without a paddle here. You get sent too far flying and devastating. Polar Chan smartly going to recover super low, but one grab for almost no reason, and Polar Chan every single day.
Back air trades, 102nd helicopter of the day, but won't be able to find it. To be able to follow up, the forward air is enough to do it. And Hello everyone, welcome back to EsportsU. We are in the booth by Polar Champ, the one and only member of the Erie roster that we saw take all 12. Sorry, that's not how math. All 18 stocks here in the very two sets. What about your performance this week?
I really I feel good. I feel clean. I didn't do much practicing. Too much practice can oversaturate you. And I took some time off of Smash a little bit. So I'm coming back, missing the game, just ready to just get some.
Yeah, you're really good, man. I mean, your King K. Rool super polished. Even with a little time off, you could tell a lot of this stuff. One thing I want to ask for sure is, Denny was certainly probably the hardest matchup you had in the set. So how did you play against the other two players and having to play against Denny, who had stronger spacing and finishes?
Well, it's just like the old Contra or old Mega Man games. The boss do the same thing. I figured out the pattern, and once I figured out the pattern, he grabbed the ledge, would jump off the ledge and try to like forward B with his neutral air, and then it just repeat, just kind of just watching what they're doing, um, not thinking too much about like what I'm going to do to them, just kind of go what they're trying to do to me, and using my cannonballs and as kind of like agitators because I Smash supposed to be a high game, and if you get flustered, it's going to.
Absolutely.
It certainly. I'm curious what you think. So, I mean, playing very reactive this set, is that what you think your biggest as a player is? What do you think your biggest as a player is?
I definitely got extreme reaction time, and I adapt. I adapt to you. Like I I watch me. I watch like how you move. If you keep jumping, you're trying to bait me in what you do, and I um click buttons faster than you can.
And is King K. Rool always played with throughout Ultimate, or you've tried other characters? Why King K. Rool?
Well, I played Mario since if you ever go on YouTube, my actual tag is Polaris, and I changed it to Polar Chan because Chan is half of my last name. I played through all these horrible times till Mario got amazing, and recently like playing Mario for what 23 years. I in this game Mario just seemed really boring. They and that's really why how I fell in love with Mario. King K. Rool came in. First day I picked him, I was like, man, I love King K. Rool. He has a One Piece. I was like, oh man, gonna pick King K. Rool. Like he picked me, and I don't really care about I just adapt. I just his play style is just something that comes naturally to me. So
They certainly showed. I'm curious now that you guys have played through how you feel about your chances moving forward into the postseason.
I feel good. Long, not just me. My team. They stay on their P's and Q's and carrots and dot their I's and cross their T's. They keep practicing and becoming better. We got a strong chance, and I'm just going to continue to do my part and teams, try to get everyone to become like team breakers. So I really feel confident. Just polish our synergy together, but we're a good team, and I look forward to the postseason.
as well. And I'm curious for you as an individual player. We had like the Smash World Tour announced recently with a bunch of different tournaments. Are we going to potentially see tournaments throughout 2022?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to find some myself. Um, school, and I'm a father and everything like that. It's a lot of things going on,
Oh,
and I love Smash is my major this year. My Kinke rule has been widening some eyes. Just test them on a larger scale for sure. Buffalo seems. I'm from Buffalo. And I'm groomed by some really tough guys.
Should be very fun to watch. I have a you and your teammates through the 8 games of regular season play. Who do you think has from those 8 weeks through?
It's kind of weird because so the Smash is like me and like 3 others, and one other person who's really good is a Pikachu. He goes by the name of Playmaker. He really makes it's more tough. It's like our team's more solid. We got some good guys on the team, some people who want to learn how to play, who be better Smash players. So I'm just trying to light that fire underneath them and make sure. His name is Fenris. He plays a good Isabella, and usually I go first, and if he gets to do pretty well, and just want to keep that fire lit with these guys.
yeah, the Fires under your opponent's team for sure, and they definitely felt that flame. We wrap things up here. Any shout outs you have for family? Any shout outs you got?
Hey, shout out to Buffalo. Buffalo Smash 716. Everybody who's making it happen over here. Shout out to the K Rule players in the world. Many other past we're hurting out here, but shout out to the heavies in the world, and yeah, and hey, I'm just trying to do my best, put some King K on the map, and so it's all about. And I'm sorry for talking about the team. I didn't mean it. Kind of.
No worries for joining us, Polar Chan, and we'll see you guys in the postseason.
See you then. Thank y'all.
All right, and that just about wraps it up on esports. And so, what a conclusion to the end of the regular season it was. Definitely, I guess, last words to wrap us up.
Well, I mean, first of all, thanks for having me. It's great to work alongside. It was an awesome set we got. I mean, we got to see some great Smash, even though it was only from out of the potential 6. A clinic was put on for sure. I always appreciate some good Smash. I always appreciate some good crews. Shouts to Polar for an amazing king. Honestly, shouts to Denny as well. Denny, a solid Ike player, and certainly very obviously the captain of their team, and the rest of the post squad as well for doing their best, and Alfred out there, because it's certainly it's one thing to play there and compete as a whole nother, and that's certainly something to be respected. So to them, it was great to be here. I'm glad I was able to regular season, and hope I can come back for some more in the future.
Should be a lot of fun, and see you guys next week when the way, and that is when when we will be back. So for Dax, my name is Soy, and see you next week.